Hello, I'm Mike Naziri, and with me I have Jeremy. And Jeremy, what's your last name? So if you want to put it on the podcast,
Kenny.
Jeremy Kenny. And
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
Jeremy's from Boston, and I grew up in Brooklyn. And so if you from neither of those places, you're probably not going to understand anything we're saying. So, Jeremy, when did you start powerlifting?
I started like seriously powerlifting training about 9 years ago, I guess. And started competing about a year later.
How'd you get into it?
I've always lifted. Like I was involved in athletics and stuff when I was in high school. I probably started lifting consistently when I was like 14 or 15. And then I, life, I always kind of worked out to stay in shape in my like early 20s. I'm coming up on 10 years in recovery from drugs and alcohol. And when the last like 3 years that I was using, I didn't touch a weight at all. And then when I got sober, it really just kind of organically happened again that I started getting serious about training again, and did my, like I said, got into it and just started getting like crazy strong fast, and it came back really quick. So
Yeah, I mean, I drank for a long time, but I mean, like I had like when it started getting like real serious and bad, I wasn't lifting either. I stopped lifting. I think like so I'd rather just be just drinking scotch and weightlifting. It just really took,
yeah.
it did take over, but it didn't win. You know,
Still here.
yeah, because now I haven't. Yeah, like January like 9th, that was. I think I'm pretty sure it was about a year since
Nice.
I drank. So
Good for you.
yeah. But, did you ever set any records in powerlifting?
Yeah, yeah. I've said I got some New England records. I got some state records. I had an RPS world record in the deadlift for I don't know about eight or 9 months in my class, and it got broke last year. But for the most part, like I just kind of I wasn't like kind of focused on like that kind of stuff. I didn't even really know about. Like I thought that was like impossible. I was like, when someone told me like, hey, the first time I heard like, hey, you just set a New England record, I'm like, what, man? Because like I'm a big guy, like just naturally, I'm about 6'4", and like I naturally walk around between like 275 and 300, and I go to the meets and like I'm always with myself, so I don't think that I'm like this big like strong guy. And then when they were like, yeah, you set a record, or my first meet, I came in first in the open class in the 308s, and I was like, they handed me the trophy. I thought it was a joke. I'm like, what? you know?
I mean, you're not the only giant in the world. You know what I mean? Like there's other guys your size that
Right.
eating, so it's comparative. You know?
Exactly. I walk in and I always think like, if I look at guys that are like, everybody, it's natural. You size up the competition or whatever, and I'm like, a guy will get up and he's like a 275, and I think he's got like 50 pounds on me, and I'm like, holy shit, I'm like I got like 40 pounds on him. You know what I mean? Like it's try to stay a little bit humble too. There's some animals out there. I'm getting old, so.
Are you still currently training?
Yeah, I'm actually training for USPA Nationals in June right now. So
It seems
I'm
like
about I'm just about.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. What'd you say?
I was just going to say.
No, I was just.
I'm sorry. It seems like everyone I'm talking to is going to a meet in June. Everyone, either in RPS or
Really?
I'm going 100% raw on June 13th. Everyone, it seems like, is going like that weekend in June.
Yeah, no, it's I yeah. I usually find myself like August, early fall is usually when I'll do a meet, but what this was just when I was like, I've been wanting to qualify for nationals for a couple of years, and this past year I did off like the worst training cycle I've ever. I had like a bunch of health problems, yada yada yada, and I just made the qualifying total, and I'm psyched. I'm pretty locked in right now, so
Yeah. But that's just
hopefully everything just stays together.
right. The story of powerlifting is injuries and stuff happening, life happening. Because you think, right, you start off powerlifting and you have in your head, yeah, I'm going to do all these cycles and I'm going to hit this in a year.
Yeah.
And in that year, a million things happen. You hurt yourself training, or you hurt yourself outside the gym, or you get a new job and now you got to work midnight, so your days change.
Hmm.
And it's just, I mean, I've been competing in powerlifting since 2001, and there's just maybe 1,000 things that have changed. Where it's like you just have to be flexible. That's
Absolutely.
you got to be flexible. And I think there's been a couple times also where I've like been like just discouraged because I wasn't hitting, like I set like too high of goals, I think, and like I wasn't hitting.
Hmm.
I got frustrated, and I just was like, you know what, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm just gonna just lift in the gym and just do like a bodybuilder type thing. Just got too frustrated.
Yeah.
But then I always got pulled back into the sport. I just I love it so much. I always got pulled back in. But how do you wind up like dealing with like family and training and work? How do you work it in?
Well, I have 4 kids, and I'll tell you right now, the biggest thing for me is I have like the most amazing, understanding woman that I'm married to. That she holds everything together. Every time I do a meet, uh, literally within 24 hours, I'll stash a thank you card somewhere in the house because just the ability to. I got a pretty crazy work schedule, and I can kind of manipulate my training times to fit into that. But with all the life stuff and household stuff, my wife really makes it possible for me to, for me to be able to get in and train and eat right and do everything that's necessary. As far as the body goes, that's the first and foremost. Without her, I, I'd be dead, to be honest. Yeah, so she helps hold that together, and then, like I said, I kind of navigate through. Um, I, I make it a point, no matter what I train. Like I always look at like um, a big thing for me was like 3 or 4 years ago. I watched this like old video of Mike Tyson in the '80s when he was coming up, and he was talking about training, and he was saying how he'd get up and he'd run at 3 o'clock in the morning, and he hated running at 3 o'clock in the morning, but he just figured that whoever he was fighting wasn't out running at 3 in the morning, so that's what he had to do. So like, 4th of July cookouts, Memorial Day party, like if it means I got to like I'm training no matter what, and that's usually my motivation. Is I just think of the guys I'm going up against. They're not training that day. It's a mental thing that I do, and I live by it. So um, but definitely balance. It's hard to devote the time you need to to reach your goals and balance a regular life. You know what I mean? But that's with anything. That's not just in lifting. You know what I mean? That's in anything. Is trying to you know find that, get the scale where it's just close enough.
Yeah, I have a little bit of benefit in the sport that my wife competes also.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's actually a good powerlifter. I'm not.
She understands your craziness.
I, I, I have. I think maybe I set a record once because there was like no record in the weight class or something like that. But I think it was like a
Yeah,
weight class thing. No, there was, but it didn't really count. But no, my wife's been a national champion. I think 3 years, and she
that's awesome.
went best female all the time. Yeah, yeah. You should check her out at JM Naziri. Yeah, she's a good looker.
I definitely will.
What's how would you explain your training method? Like,
I use Sweet's Fit Set. I've been training. I trained with like my first like 4 or 5 years. I did a Juggernaut program, which is kind of like a modified conjugate, and then I jumped on Fifth Set because I was like, I just kept getting hurt, on the training load. And I'm not knocking the Juggernaut program at all, but the training load for me, it was too much like heavy weight all the time. And in 2017, I think, 2018, I jumped on Fifth Set, and I love it. Like, I'm not gonna say I haven't had some wear and tear injuries, but I think that's more of just because
what is that?
getting older. Fifth Set,
Yeah.
it's Swede Burns put out a book, the Fifth Set method. I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. So basically, you train. You got your main lifts, 3 days a week. You have 2 bench days, and so you kind of you get your programming in locked in at, you do a little kind of test your gym max,
Mhm.
knock it down to about 80%,
Mhm.
and you train in 6-week microcycles.
Okay.
Everything kind of builds to a peak every 6 weeks with there's a couple deloads figured in, but you're basically, you're training heavy, like one exercise pretty much on your main lift, and then the accessory work is really scaled back. So, like I was getting nicked up doing, I'd be deadlifting when I was training Juggernaut, I'd be deadlifting like up to 105%. And then, doing rack pulls at like 95%. It was just too much. My body couldn't take it, And then when I switched over to this, I found it's based on a 9-day, instead of a regular week, it's based on a 9-day week. So there's, built-in rest days and everything like that. And for me, as far as being able to push push heavy weight around and still be able to recover, I couldn't imagine training any other way.
Yeah,
You should check it out.
yeah, it's interesting. I'll look it up. I do basically. It sounds like almost the same thing. I just do 8-week cycles.
Mm-hmm. Do you have so like basically train every other day, and then you have the weekend off is essentially where it works out to, and then you pick up?
Well, yeah, I do. Monday's my squat day, Tuesday's my bench day, Thursday's my deadlift day, and Friday's my strict curl day.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hitting all my like competition lifts once a week. I don't think I could handle it twice a week. I don't think my body could handle it. Especially
this.
Because
Oh yeah, for sure.
Training with the strict curl puts a lot of wear on your bicep tendon.
Elbows too, I'm sure.
I haven't had a problem there so far yet, but I had
knock on wood.
tendonitis on the tendon on the other side, on the inside here.
Yeah.
I got to I couldn't pick my arm. I was just training like I was training like an idiot. I think it was I stopped drinking and I wasn't lifting for a while. And then I got back into lifting again. And instead of like setting myself up with a goal and training, hit that goal on the 8th week, take a week off, hit another goal. I was just like, I just want to get back to my like original PRs. I'm just training straight for it. I'm not going to stop.
Yeah.
It didn't work out good.
Never does, no.
It didn't work.
Yeah. Like we don't do, like on my method, you go like it isn't like Monday's bench day, Tuesday's squat, Wednesday's squat day. It's like that's how you started out rotating. So like you bench 1 week on Monday, then the following week your main bench is on Wednesday. You know what I mean? And then like your secondary bench is at like 50% just at high reps, and it's they vary in grip and
Right.
his mechanically similar movements, MSMs they call it in the book. Uh, it's a slight variation of your main lift,
Yeah.
but like I'm in the flooring business, so like doing deep below parallel squats, like I wouldn't be able to like maintain my job. So actually part of the program is like I work off of a like 2-inch high box wide box squat, and like my numbers still go up, still gaining strength.
You got to be flexible. You got to make it work for you.
Absolutely.
You're a floor. You got to be, that's why.
Got to pay the bills.
But that's why I can't stand with a lot of guys in the sport that are like, no, you have to do it this way. And I'm like, not everyone's built the same. Not somebody has to put down hardwood floors. You know what I mean? Every person is different, and they're all in different scenarios, and there's no perfect recipe for everyone. That's my opinion in the sport.
I agree.
There are good
It'd be great.
ideas, but
Absolutely.
but for the most part, I think you need to, everyone's an individual.
I wish I could live in the gym and train people and not be like beating the hell out of myself in the construction business for longer than I'd like to admit now. But that's just not that's not my life. I, like you said earlier, you have to adapt to life comes first, regardless of anything else.
Like, yeah, well, I mean, part of what made like my training so tough, like I'm retired 2 years now. I'm retired from the NYPD, and I was there in 13 years, and most of my tours were 4 to 12s.
Mm-hmm.
So most of the time, I was able to train fairly steady, during the day before I went into work. But if I made an arrest that night on a 4 to 12, it doesn't pay to come home and go back into court at 7 a.m. in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Just sleep there, and there goes that training day. It's all messed
Yeah, right.
all messed up, or overtime, stuff like that, messes everything up.
It's hard to turn down the money. Got to keep the lights on.
No, you know what? I should have turned a lot of that money down. I should have turned it down. I did all of it. I was that guy that did every piece of overtime you could find.
Yeah.
I should have stayed home a little more.
Yeah, I'm the guy. I heard a guy a couple of years ago. I was at a seminar, and this guy was talking about. He's like, "Yeah, I met this guy, a project manager, and he, was priding himself on he hadn't taken a vacation in 22 years or something like that." And he's like, "Dude, like you're gonna die, like you know what I mean? Like you got to enjoy it while you're here." And that was me. I was definitely a workaholic. I've scaled it back a little bit the past couple of years, but it turns into blood money after a while.
Yeah, I wish I can go back and turn a lot of it down that I didn't have to take. I mean, some of it was awesome. I mean, I was in NYPD Highway Patrol, and
Mm-hmm.
the days I'd go in for overtime, and we got paid to take motorcycles out and go escort a
Yeah.
parade. And I'm like, we just got paid to go to ride motorcycles around.
Yeah.
But yeah, most of that overtime was still trying to find drunk drivers all night long.
Yeah.
Have you ever coached anyone?
I have not. No, I actually a kid that I train with. He's evolved into my coach because he's like 50 million times smarter than me, and he actually is like read the books cover to cover. He studies the game, but I have not coached. I'm pretty blessed that where I do train, a kid I went to high school with owns the gym. We got a bunch of student athletes in there, and like it really like it invigorates my training so much. Like we got a ton of lacrosse players, football players, baseball players. My kids all train there now. They're athletes. Like I got a hockey player, a lacrosse player, and it really like that youth that like because I'm over there like I'm training for a powerlifting meet. They're like training just to build that foundational strength for athletics, and like listening to a group of like 15-year-old boys like com- you know talking shit to each other and being competitive, like that stuff fires me up, man. It keeps me young, it keeps the juices flowing, so it's a good environment.
That's where you train.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We got a like with my kids now, my son's going to be 12. He just started working out this past month, and like I kind of like stay hands off with him. I let my buddy does all the, because no one listens to that dad, you know what I mean? But sometimes when he gets on the bench or he's rowing, I'll be like, hey, move your feet, and then I'm like, oh, I'm doing it again. I got to just shut up and step back.
Yeah, I train in my basement, and well, it's funny you mentioned your son training, because my son's 11, and Thursday I like strength tested him to see like where he was and everything.
Yeah,
A whole plan for him, so he's gonna start tomorrow.
that's awesome.
And so yeah, what? I don't know where I was going with that. Oh yeah, so yeah, I train in my basement with my wife, and she trains on different days than me. Like most of the time, we bump into each other a lot, and she has two other girls that she's training with, and so it's a lot of girls down here when I'm lifting. It's a lot of girls.
The women are savages.
My wife is, and she's got this girl that lives with her. She's got cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
Like really bad. Like it's like she has to use like her good hand to get her hand like around the bar for the deadlift. This girl works her ass off. She trains.
Yeah, that's where it's at.
She trains so hard. It's really impressive. And I had to make her special shoes, because 1 foot, when she would squat, as she squat, her heel would come up off the floor. So we got her a shoe with a high heel on it, the highest one we could find. But the organization we're in says you can go up to 2 inches. And I think it was like 3/4 of an inch. So I got sole heels, and I kept gluing them on and sanding them down. So it made like the right angle.
Yeah.
You're allowed to put a 1/4 inch insert in too. So we maxed it out. I mean, it's 2 1/4 inches, and it works out just perfect for her.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And funny enough,
stories like that, man.
Yeah, her name is Linda Strong Dannerly. Yeah, she's on Instagram too. Yeah, she's a cool girl.
I'll check her out.
Oh, what do you view on steroids?
You hear stories like that, like the days that you don't want to train. What's that?
No, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, I'm like, you hear stories about that woman you were talking about, and like the days that you don't want to train, and like you're like, you hear stuff like that, and it's like, and then you see a person dealing with those kind of physical issues, and they're in their training. It's like, I got no excuse.
Yeah,
I got to get in here. That's motivating.
What do you view on steroids?
I mean, it's a part of the sport, there's definitely there's definitely a fair amount of what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think everybody's as honest as they might appear to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm not even saying on like my level, on like even the higher levels, like I feel like some of the more successful natural lifters, I think they just know how to skirt testing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if you know when you're going to get tested, it's the same thing with my guys at work. When we got to get drug tested for job sites, like my guys will, when's the test? And they do that, we call it, they got to study for the drug test. Like it's the same thing. I mean, even though there's not a lot of money in the sport of powerlifting, like
there's a lot of ego.
exactly. And you know, to I mean, for me, it's not something that I'm looking to do at this point in my life, but like I get how I think for like be at like an extremely high level for a long time, I almost feel like you have to do it. I don't think that the human body can withstand. I mean, especially with some of the numbers guys are putting up now and women are putting up now. I mean, it's insane. I just saw Julius Maddox hit like a 782 bench today, like, and he smoked it. Like, I know he's on, you know, he's on testosterone replacement therapy now, which I mean, that's juicing. Everybody's it's a nice way of saying it. But I mean, you can any guy that's over 35 years old can walk into his doctor's office and you can leave with a bottle of test now. You know, it's pretty commonplace. Whereas, you know, 15 years ago, you'd be that wasn't heard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just talking with Pat Susko. You guys know
Hmm.
Pat Susko?
Yep.
He's a buddy of mine. We were both from Brooklyn, and it really Pat's a great guy. A really nice guy. He squatted 925 pounds.
I know it's insane.
It's insane. And well, I asked him the question the same way I asked you. I said, "What's your view on steroids?" He's like, "Yeah, they're great. What are you talking about? They're awesome."
Feel like you're 18 years old when you're 50. You know? Yeah.
He was like, "Next question."
Yeah.
But at Susko squatted 925 pounds. I was squatting maybe 225 pounds in the gym with him, and he was like, "Yeah, come on, you could lift with me." Oh,
That's awesome.
great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool because like guys like that, like like I remember when I was young, you know, 18, 19 years old, walking around the gym and seeing dudes like throwing some, you know, throwing some plates, or and then like that day that like one of them asks you to spot him or something, you're like in the gang, you're like, yeah, that's what's up, you know. I made it today. You go home and tell like your girlfriend or your mom or something like the big guy asked me to spot him today, you know.
Yeah. I've been involved in a few other sports, and in my opinion, this is the friendliest sport.
For sure.
That's
Because I
why.
mean, really, even when you go, I mean, I look at it like even when you go to a competition, like the competitive nature of it, like you're like, yeah, I'm competing. You know, this is the field of guys I'm competing against, but really, everybody's just competing against the weight. You know, no matter how, it's not like a, you know, there's only the body's potential only has so much. You know, the weight eventually the weight wins. You know,
Why is the squat the most important lift?
well, I mean, it's there's so much you know, you got your everything's kind of everything's moving between the tightness and everything, and like it's the biggest. I mean, nothing's harder than strapping a bunch of weight on your back and seeing what gravity's got to say about it. You know?
It's the hardest and scariest one there is, and
Yeah,
no one seems to want to do.
leg day. There's more leg day memes out there than anything else. You know?
Yeah, I don't like push pull meets. Not a fan. I'm like, no, you got to squat too.
I'm telling you, I was by myself. Like I said, I had some health problems last year. I had a couple like totally minor surge procedures done, but so I was like lighter. I had to change my diet, so I got down to like 200 and I was like down to like 272 pounds, which that's like I haven't been that light in 15 years, and I was feeling pretty good. I was squatting. I was in the gym by myself squatting. I'm like, yeah, you know, shot up out of the hole with 585 like a rocket. After this was after not even squatting for like a month. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling like a badass. So I think I put 635 on the safety bar, and I was just about to get under it, and I'm like, I know I got this, but I'm just gonna raise the pins up just in case, you know. Dude, I came up out of the hole. That thing folded me like a lawn chair. It's like, oh shit.
But yeah, because you don't get folded in the deadlift, you know.
No,
So
you
like
can always bail.
I think the fails like that in the squat, help prepare you for life.
Definitely.
Life. I think.
I would agree with that for sure.
Are you lifting raw or equipped in that organization?
I lift raw.
Yeah, it's raw. No one was raw when I started lifting in
I
2001.
know it's been a transformation. Now everybody's geared lifting's like few and far between. It's making a resurgence,
Yeah, we were
you
like
know.
this way. We went to we had St. Francis College at a powerlifting team, and that's how
Hmm.
we got into it. That's where I met my wife, and we had a large team. Didn't have the money to lift equipped, so we went raw to a USAPL meet, and we actually did well there. But everyone was saying, why aren't you wearing the equipment? Why aren't you?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
and then we found
it's a science.
yeah, we found this organization ADAU, the Anti Drug Athletes United. And we were
Hmm.
there for a while, and then that organization got eaten up by 100% raw. Oh, and that's where we live now.
You don't train geared any. You don't train geared anymore though.
No, we
All
never
raw.
never trained geared.
Oh yeah.
I never was in a suit. I tried to squat once with knee wraps on, and it didn't seem to help. Oh, maybe I didn't put them on right. I don't know. But I was like, I just tried it once. That was
They
it.
make my feet go numb. I
Yeah,
can't do it.
yeah. I don't know.
By the time I get the second one wrapped, I got pins and needles in the first foot, so
Yeah.
it's not for me.
How has lifting helped you through life's toughest moments?
I'll tell you, just dating back to like I like I said, when I got sober, I got I got heavily into back into it, and when I started competing, like I've gone through, I've had at least 7 or 8 kids I grew up with have passed away since I got sober from mostly from drugs and alcohol in one way or another. And I've lost a few very close family members unrelated to drugs and alcohol. I've had, life, some serious life stuff happen. And between like my recovery stuff and between just always having training to come back to, like it's really like it's an out for me to like I can really kind of tunnel vision, channel my focus. If especially if I'm, if I'm not just lifting, if I'm like really, which the past like 7 years, I've just pretty much been on a continuous flow of competing. I can kind of just like block everything out and channel into that, and it carries me through a lot of stuff, man. Like it's really easy to um, just to have that goal, for lack of it, just something to really lock in on, uh channel like kind of that bad energy and to something positive. That's been a huge part of my life, that I didn't have when before I cleaned up my act.
Yeah, like I look at it like how lifting's helped me almost like reps. Like the day is a rep. You know what I mean? The week's a rep. That month down is a rep. The year down is
Yeah.
another rep. And I mean, another way it helped me is I don't want to screw up my lifting. I don't want to screw up my diet. You know what I mean? I don't want to
Hmm.
start gaining
Right.
all this weight from it's a lot of calories. All this drinking.
Sure is.
So it's just a waste. So but, and let go a little deeper. Do you have a faith, or has faith helped you through some of life's toughest moments also?
Absolutely. I have I wouldn't like I grew up Roman Catholic. I definitely I definitely would identify that I'm a Catholic still. Like, am I devout? No, but I certainly have um, a, a very sound spiritual contact with a God of my understanding, and I firmly believe that God doesn't put anything on my plate in a day that I can't handle, no matter what it is, you know? Um, and to be honest, to tie into lifting, when I was going out to when I was going out for um, no, not my last meet, a couple meets ago, which was the best meet of my life. I was walking out to do my last bench attempt, and I just remember I was and I don't ever pray at meets. I'm like, you know what, God, I don't know if I can press this, but I know if you help me, I can. And I had absolutely zero doubt after just that little. I had no doubt I was going to make the lift. You know what I mean? So yeah, faith definitely carries me through. I do. There's so many times. I mean, you're a retired police officer. I'm sure you get like. There's so many times I should be dead, and I'm still here. I feel like I'm here. Somebody wants me here for something. You know.
Yeah. Well, I have bipolar disorder one, and that's the reason why I was let go from the NYPD. And
Hmm.
when you have bipolar disorder, you tend to do a lot of reckless things also. So
Yeah.
I've done so many reckless things. Like I was that kid that like they were like, oh, Michael do it. Tell Mike like he'll, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I was the kid that always did it, and I was the one that was always like, they would be like, oh, send me to go pick a fight with someone and fight someone, like
Yeah.
I just always did it.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not good. I definitely needed like some lithium back then.
We all could have used a little.
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest weakness?
um, I still like as far like in life or lifting.
Life.
Life, I would say, like I still have I still go to my default is still to like do the wrong thing. Like if you're looking at the fork in the road, I go the wrong way.
Yeah.
So that's something that a lot of hard work has got me to where like I can kind of pause and be like, you know what, my first thought usually isn't my best thought, but like especially if my back's against the wall, I'll usually revert. That's how I survived for 30 years until I would just when you're supposed to zig, I'd be zagging. That was definitely me.
I
I can
think
relate to what you were saying. Like I was the guy that everybody was like, "Go ahead, he'll do it," and that I still that kind of like Byron mentality. I got to be careful of that.
I think right now my mouth is my biggest weakness. Like I think
Yeah,
that like so like I need to like learn and like control it and be like everything that like is up here doesn't have to come out. You understand what I'm talking about?
yeah,
It's just me, right?
I know the filter. Yeah, I hear ya.
Filter. Like
Yeah,
you don't have to say everything.
yeah. Everybody doesn't need to know what I'm thinking.
Yeah. You're a cat or a dog guy?
Definitely more of a dog guy than a cat guy. I'm allergic to cats.
All right, that's correct answer. If you could go back and tell yourself like one thing in lifting, what would that piece of advice be?
Um, Let me think about that one. That's a good one. I would I would have told myself never to have stopped. You know, if I hadn't stopped when I did for like I said the last few years that I was on the party circuit. Um, I wish that I got more. I wish that I competed sooner. I guess get into it and get on the platform faster.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's exactly what I would tell myself. Don't get discouraged. You
Yeah.
keep going. Have you ever pooped yourself, peed, or vomited, or bled during lifting?
Definitely some blood. That's the only,
Good?
which is funny because my best friend who doesn't lift, it's like whenever I come back from a meet, he's always like, "Did you shit yourself?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Man, you weren't trying hard enough."
Listen, I think he might be right, but you know,
I've had some close calls.
I, it seems to be a deadlift PR celebration for me.
Right?
Every, every time I hit a PR on the deadlift, just a little bit comes out.
You know you gave your all.
The, the girls all have a problem with the peeing.
That's what I hear. That's
Yeah,
what I hear.
that's all. So you lift mostly in public gyms, right?
We're a private gym.
Private gym.
I haven't done the commercial gym scene in probably like 5 years or so. Um, we're a small, like, we probably have like, if I guessed, maybe 40 members,
What's
you
the
know?
thing you've
So
ever seen in the gym?
say that,
The
say that again.
dumbest thing you've ever seen in the gym.
I'll tell you what, the dumbest thing I've ever seen was me, doing a slingshot bench with, I think I had like 565 on, and like I had one spotter that couldn't other than like call 911, he couldn't have done anything if something went wrong, you know. Luckily I made it, but that was probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
I've done some dumb things. I've like misloaded, but I misload all the time. I miss. You have that issue?
Yeah.
I'm like
Oh, absolutely.
I totally forget like to put a quarter on, 2.5 on the other side. I do it all the time. Pisses me off. And or sometimes I'll forget and I'll take like too many plates off the bar and the bar will go flying.
The bar. I just did that a couple months ago. I hear
The,
ya.
the Duffalo bar, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
A normal bar, you could leave 2 plates on one side,
Yeah, because of the bend.
but you can't do that with the Duffalo bar.
Yeah,
It'll go,
that thing will flip every time.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You've learned that too.
Oh yeah, that's a nice bar.
Do you stretch?
Yes, I'm not like crazy about it. I do a lot more body tempering stuff, like with massage balls and stuff like that, more than I do stretching.
I hate
But
it.
I do,
I hate all that.
yeah. Since I started doing it though, like I definitely have seen. I, I mean, I think it definitely has increased longevity. I mean, I've had some injuries, but nothing. I have like a recurring. I keep tearing something, an extensor muscle in my left arm. I don't know if that's a stretch related thing or not, but as far as like the most important stuff, shoulders, hamstrings, stuff like that, everything's in pretty good working order from stretching, I believe. I hate it, but it's definitely. I think it's important.
I stretched one time since 2001.
Yeah, some
when,
guys never do.
when I switched from conventional to sumo, I just
Yeah,
couldn't I couldn't get down there. Like it was just too tight. I
yeah.
just sat there and I stretched and I stretched and I stretched and I stretched until I was able to do it. And then from doing the sumo deadlift, I just don't need to stretch. But like
Yeah.
that's it. I hate stretching. My wife stretches for like half an hour before she lifts. She'll get on the
Yeah, I know. So
elliptical. She'll warm up on the elliptical. Then she does all these things where she's walking and I don't know, she kicks her. Looks like she's kicking herself in the ass.
yeah.
And she does these. She looks like walks where she looks like a flamingo. And
Yeah.
she stretches, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I just start squatting.
I'm a big fat guy. I don't got that much energy.
I mean, she does.
Gonna save it for the lift.
You weigh almost 3 times as much as she does. She weighs 102 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm about there.
How do you figure out how many reps you do? Or do you ever work in doing as many reps as possible?
So with fifth set on your main lifts, so you do either 4x2 or 4x3, and then your fifth set is an AMRAP.
Okay.
So it's, whatever you can crank out for, usually you do like, usually competition style bench, squat below parallel and everything for your 4x2s. And then that last one, it's just touch and go on the bench. And, if you just hit parallel on the squat and just get it, crank out as many as you possibly can.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. I see a lot of people doing that. Yeah, their last, like doing like 3x3, and then the last one,
Yeah.
as many reps as possible. That seems to be popular.
Hmm.
Have you ever bombed out of a meet?
No, not yet. I mean, that's a yet, I guess. Everybody does eventually, but no, I haven't.
Oh, it's a horrible feeling. I did one time. Oh, awful feeling. I just could. I got.
Dude,
I got all 3 squats high, and
oh yeah.
I was training with box squats. I never trained with box squats before,
Hmm.
and I will never train with box squats ever again. Yeah.
In RPS, there's this guy, I see him at all these meets. He's a geared lifter. Me and my boy, we call him the Mad Bomber because I've probably seen him at 10 meets and he bombed out. I mean, he's 10 for 10. He's bombed out of every single. I'm like, dude, like, I'm watching this guy, like, he'll make his squat and in the suit, and then like it seems like every time he gets on the bench, and I'm like, dude, how are you not hitting your opener? Like, especially when you're a chronic bomber.
Well, I think the problem is with the shirts, you have to put enough weight on to get down to your chest.
To get the pop, yeah.
But you have to balance that with getting it up, because I seen people bomb out of meets because they couldn't even touch their chest with the ball.
Yeah, suit was suit had too much ring. I get it. Yeah.
What's your best lift?
Right now, my bench is probably my strongest of the 3.
Yeah.
Just because it seems to either my bench or my deadlift.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually
my squat's like
one that they don't like. Like what's your worst lift?
Probably my squat.
Squat.
Just it's more so just because I mean, like I said, I'm in the flow business, so everyone. So this is like a big thing for me. I hear dudes at meets. I hear like all these. Oh yeah, you see the memes on Instagram and stuff about like, oh, I can't squat because I had bad knees. I'm like, dude, anybody that's come work with me for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Crawl around all day. And then see if you still squatting 800 pounds, bro. You know what I mean? Like let's slow your roll for a second. Like I'm not a physical personal trainer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Everyone's in different situations. That's why.
Yeah.
Talk. You know what? God has smacked me down every time I've talked shit about someone.
Yeah.
Every time I've talked shit, that's why I try not to anymore, because like it just so happens that every time I'm like, you're gonna get injured that way. You shouldn't be doing that. Immediately I get injured. Immediately.
Pop, yeah.
No, you shouldn't lift. You're gonna bomb out of a meet like that. Boom, I bomb out of a meet. Like
yeah.
Open my mouth like God is like teaches me a lesson. I really think so.
Very, very humbling that way.
Yeah. Well, are you like on a permanent bulk? You said you're a big guy. Would you ever cut down?
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, I have like this mental thing. I don't ever want to lift super heavyweight. Don't ask me why. It's just like a personal thing I have. So like, I've cut from like 330 down to 308 before to make weight for a meet. But
that's a big boy.
Like
30.
Yeah, that was the biggest I ever got. Now I can make 308 no problem. I had my gallbladder out in October, and like I've had a bitch of a time getting back. Like I'm up to like 295 right now. I like to go in. I like to be around like 310, 312, and then cut down like 4 or 5 pounds like the week of the meet to get to. For me, whatever I seem to be my strongest when I'm at like 305, 306. Um, but like I just, no matter what I eat, I just can't. I First of all, I definitely have noticed dietary. I can't eat quite as much as I used to. But trying to slowly kind of build that back up. But I definitely like to be like 290. I'm not small at 295. Like I right now I probably have more like quality muscle on my body than I've ever had. So
Yeah.
I actually took my shirt off at the beach last year. I thought I was a champion, you know.
Yeah, I'm like slowly trying to like put like a little bit of weight on, like to so I'm like I'm at a point now where I'm like, I don't care how much I weigh. I just want to start
Yeah.
I just want to start pushing some more numbers, you know. And I'll diet later on.
What weight do you compete at?
I usually can weight lifted in the 181s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm like what am I right now? Like 182, 183 right now.
Yeah.
Um,
You're right about where you want to be.
yeah, I'm like at like a normal weight, but I want to pump up the volume. You know what I mean?
198 a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I wanna,
Everybody does.
I don't want to go up drastically, you know, and put too much fat on. So I'm trying to, you know,
Hmm.
go up real slow, eat a lot of protein, and go up slow. You know, so but we'll we'll see how that goes. What muscles
Yeah.
what muscles do you train just to look good?
Probably my back. Like, for whatever, like I that's the only my whole body that like actually gets any definition whatsoever. So it's easy, like traps. I got traps, big lats. Like I don't really do. I barely do curls and I have big triceps naturally. So it's not like definitely. I always give kids shit at the gym, like when they're doing rows. I'm like, oh, you could show a movie on that thing, you know, like that. The back's probably my thing, I guess. You know,
Yeah, we got most
makes
power.
me look. You couldn't tell I have a huge belly if you saw me from behind.
Yeah, most guys always have like that one thing that they like wish was bigger. That's like not on like powerlifting related. Like like for me it would be like my delts. Like I wish I had just massive delts. But
Balls. Yeah.
every time like I was training them hard, and it's just too much with the benching. Like
Hmm.
just, I can't handle it. I mean
Yeah.
figure a little bit from the benching, but not as not as much as I.
Yeah.
All right, this is the most important question.
My
How?
son makes fun of me for having small calves,
Yeah, there you go.
chicken legs. You know.
It's the most important question. How bad do you hate CrossFit?
Oh man. Like I, it's not even so much like it's not even so much like I'm not like against what it's like they walk around like they're they're like Hell's Angels or something. Like, dude, like I got a t-shirt from my gym and shit. Like it's not even that. It's like they have like their I'll give you an example. A job I was doing a job and the superintendent on the job, he was talking to me, about lifting. And so I'm like, oh, you a lifter? He's like, oh, I'm a world class CrossFitter. Now I'm looking at this dude, man, like he didn't look like he had an athletic bone in his, but like he had a bigger gut than I did, and I'm like, what? And
Anyone I
like
know that's
they
world,
have like a secret handshake,
yeah.
you know? It's
Anyone I know that's
wild.
world class would never introduce themselves that way.
Exactly. Exactly. It was just like, and they do like my wife's stepbrother, he's a give him shit. He's a CrossFit trainer in England. And and don't get me like it's changed his life. Like it's a big part of what he does and everything and his whole like, but I always rag on them about CrossFit, and like I tell my kids all the time, like CrossFitting's like no one in this house is ever doing CrossFit. Get out,
Yeah, they're fun to make fun of.
Absolutely, they bring it on themselves.
Yeah, yeah. What you use pre-workout?
I don't drink black coffee.
I'm surprised. Yeah, a lot of guys I've talked to lately said no. I'm addicted.
Yeah.
It
Oh
gets
yeah.
yeah, it's addicting because you know what happens. It's just like it's like alcohol because like you start off taking one scoop and it's like you feel like Superman, and then
Yeah.
after a while it's like one scoop is not doing anything anymore. So you take two,
Yeah.
and and then you take three to the point where it's like your heart's like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well,
I used to drink red lines, and then so I ordered one at the gym. They gave me, it was in the same shape bottle and everything. It was just a different product. It was actually somebody that worked at the gym personal. They just had it in the cooler. I drank it. I had like this sizzling workout, felt great. I came home. I was taking my trash out, and I thought, I'm sitting there. I'm like, all the bad things I've done in my life, a pre-workout drink is going to drop me right now and kill me dead. I thought I was going to die. My heart was beating out of my chest. So that was it. Never again.
you're gonna laugh at this story. So I all right. So I've been using pre-workout a lot before this last meet. Like I've been taking four scoops before my workouts because I'm really training intense. Competition's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm like, all right, competition's here, right? You got your three lifts, right? So I'm like, well, how am I gonna
Yeah.
sweat? How am I gonna do? Like I need like that feeling for all three lifts. So I take one big protein shaker and I put 12 scoops in there.
Ooh.
I
You
just
did the math wrong, huh?
it didn't calculate right, and so like I'm like, well, I'll drink a quarter of it, wait, no, a third of it, like before each lift. So for the first lift, it's good. The second lift, the deadlift comes. I see my pale skin. I look like a lobster. Insane red, and my veins are, and my wife is like, I didn't tell my wife I did this, right? She knows now.
Yeah.
She's like, what is wrong with you? I'm like, nothing, I'm good. Like I could feel, like I felt my skin burning. It was maybe I didn't die.
You had a little bit of endothermic reaction going. You were cooking from the inside out.
Yeah, I guess. Oh man, that's it. I got nothing else. You got anything else to add?
Dude, I really appreciate you having me on, man. And like, totally, I think this is an awesome thing. I think it's cool. There's a lot of get some information out there, a different vibe to it. That's awesome, dude. And that's cool with cleaning up, not cleaning up the drinking and everything. That's a big part of success, I believe.
Yeah, man. And this podcast thing. I mean, I'm not like I'm not Joe Rogan. I'm making $0.
Not yet, not yet.
Yeah, but let me tell you, I think this is the 13th one, and so I made 13 friends like all around the world actually. I've learned a bunch from people. It's like I don't care. I'll keep doing it just because it's fun to just keep meeting people and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome, dude. Yeah, no, I totally appreciate you and guys like you. I think that's cool, man.
All right,
Get
brother.
the word out.
I'll chat with you on Instagram, and hopefully I'll see you at a meet.
You got it, man.
Thanks a lot. Have a good.
Thanks for the time, Mike. I appreciate it, bro.